Welcome back to part 2 in the series of exploring ideas for a new SEG. This video describes a generic model API, and in a nutshell, it is basically the missing link between MLflow and actual production. This idea is basically the conclusion of me having to do the same thing over and over again at different customers and learning from all of the successes and mistakes. Usually what I've seen happen at companies is they have models, and those models all get an API in front of it. Sometimes there's API management in front of it, but there's still a different API behind it, and every model has their own API. So people would use Python, R, and then they would use different libraries such as Fast API or Flask, and then it's all over the place. So every project would have their own specific setup, which is far from ideal because it costs a lot of money to develop and maintain those APIs. One of the other things that I've also seen is that they just keep on copying the same structure. Well, the proposed solution for that is to have just one API. So all of the models, they have complete freedom, whether you want to use MLflow or you want to build something custom. That doesn't really matter. One thing to note before I go into the pros is that this is from the perspective of a data science team or machine learning team. And usually they will collaborate with other development teams for the actual implementation of their model. Having just one API, that makes it a lot easier for implementation because the teams that you're collaborating with can get quite easily used to the structure of your API. And it will be the same for every model. It's just the data that's being sent to the model, to the API, is different. You only have to work on the model, not the API or deployment. There's no dependency on external release cycles because you have your own API. And that API probably won't change because the spec for this is super generic. You can just connect to the model. So as a data science team, you can just deploy your model, make it available in the API, and that's it. Clients can start using it. One of the things that's also very time consuming usually is that you need to get your solution approved, including governance. And by having just one API, it becomes, you don't have to go through that process again and again. Probably the only thing that you have to do is get your governance approval for your model, which data are you using, etc. Another thing that I would like to incorporate is services instead of models. Like, a lot of teams consider a model to be a model, so there will be one model, but in reality there is probably more than one model. Not in the last place for canary deployments. So you would have your variant of a model, and depending on the data, or maybe you're training a new model, you would want to deploy it. But deploying it in one go is a bit risky because you're not sure how your model is going to behave in production. So you would want to perform a canary deployment. Let's say your first model is getting 60% of the traffic. You're going to introduce the new model with 30% of the traffic. And if the model is good, then you can increase it to 100%. Or maybe you want to just run two different models all the time. One will be better for the evening and the other one better for the rest of the day. So then how would it look like in a full ecosystem? You have your consumers as usual, like whether that's a website, another API, a backend system, doesn't really matter as long as they are asking for for the output of your models. You would have your centralized API that controls all of these requests and will route them to the correct services, that would route them to the correct service. You would have a log collector specifically designed for model evaluation. You would probably have a feature store for your external features, and you would probably have a workflow orchestrator like Airflow to update models, deploy models, update your feature store, that kind of stuff. I'm super excited about integrating such a solution into GitLab because I think it will make it a lot easier for users to deploy models, evaluate them. We already have all the components for other types of applications. We just have to combine them in order to be able to serve models in this way that I've just described. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching.